Okay, so Gochizo Explained. This is just like a collage of some Gochizo that I just randomly picked out. Okay, so we have the main Gochizo of the three main riders. I'm not going to go into any extra riders till a little bit later, but then again, we have Pop and Gummy for, of course, Gavv. I apologize for just like all of them being so squished. Chocodon for, of course, Valen, Chocodon, and Pudding. Pudding for, of course, Vram, aka the best tertiary rider of the Reiwa era. Sorry, Nago, you are in second. But now we have artificial Gochizo. Now, now most of these are used by the villain riders, primarily just, of course, something like Bitter Gavv. We have Sparking Gummy, Baki Baki Stick, Rock and Spicy, Chuckles. Those are the four mainly used like pieces of Bitter Gavv. The most used would probably be Sparking Gummy, but even then that's not a high bar. But these three, Do- Dodo Pudding, Poodle Jetty, and all three of these, I'm just gonna just say, class them all three of these are used by Vram. However, Poodle Jelly, the coffee jelly themed, it is only used in the what if stomach route. Now we move on to like upgraded forms, with probably the best upgrade form of the Reiwa era being Kaken, which I honestly thought was originally just like a really early debut of a super form, because of how often this comes in fucking clutch. Clutch. With it being born after Shoma, of course, with working with Sachika, they created a strawberry cake, and due to the large amount of emotion she felt, mainly positive, it created the Kaken Gochizo. The one Gochizo that is not consumed post being like that is not like destroyed post being used. Now we move on to Blizzard Sorbet, my least favorite super form in just like all Rider, Rider. Being born after Shoma, of course, eats a sorbet. Like that's it. Albeit it does have the added stipulation where if he makes an ice cream cake, he gets a Blizzard Sorbet, except with the ability to summon the Gavv Whipper and summon little Gavv Whip soldiers. Now we move on to Frappe. Okay. This is formed after, of course, Shoma and Hanto resolve their own issues with Hanto doing this post getting over his massive issue using the chocolate Gochizo, which he obtained from Suga. Okay. This actually is two Gochizos combined. I know. Whoa, rare. You have the the top one, which I think is Ichiro, and the bottom one, Jiro. He uses them in the Vrastam gear, which he obtained from Dente, God rest him, after he finally realizes, hey, Shoma is a good guy. But overall, still pretty good form. Albeit I genuinely just thought this was a super form. Because it debuted so early on in the story. Like around like episode 25 or something. It just like came in way too early to a point where it just felt like a super form, not even a final form. Then we have Over, and Master Gab, which I originally thought were just like one thing, but overall. They don't use a Gochizo by all normal means, but more or less 100 different Gochizo in the Gocha pod. And of course I highlighted the fact that it splits into two different forms, being Over when it's pointed upwards, and Master when it's pointed downwards. Over, of course, is a more power-centric form, which you can probably tell by the giant fists and the giant feet. And then Master is a much more slick and speed-based form, which you can tell probably by how smooth it is as form compared to the more rocky structure of Overgab. Both, from what I can tell, only like there is no time limit compared to a form like Blizzard Sorbet or Frappe. Like Frappe and Blizzard Sorbet, I'm saying now, both have time limits as they are both born from things that can inherently melt, which I know is weird. But back to Over and Master Gap, they seem to only have a time limit of up until you use a finisher for them. This, of course, is just pretty useful in general because it means that you can just wail on enemies or beat the beat the hell out of them as long as you want until you're ready to land a finisher. Next, we have Pudente, or Pudente, or just Dente as I like to call him, since of course it has some meaning with Dente, of course, and spoilers for Gavv, death. Death by the hands of Glada. This gives access to Ram's final form, Ram a la mode. Yes, I said mode twice, that is the actual name. You can cite me on that. Now, of course, you may be wondering, oh, what's this about? Oh, what is this thing? It's really tanky. Now, there is meaning behind this being his just overall protection of others. Others as he wished to protect Comel, and now he finally can, with a much more defensive form compared to Glada's more power-focused fighting style. Now we get into unique Gochizo. These Gochizo are stuff that I would consider outliers in terms of other Gochizo. Now the first one that we see up here is Amazing Gummy, which we know is formed from immense amounts of willpower or fighting spirit as they call it. I just like to call it willpower because it's simpler than just saying fighting spirit, but either way, you get the gist. It was used primarily to fight Boca Jaldak, right before that final fight with Lingo. Almost forgot his name there. That's how much of a jobber he is in the story and how little he does. Next we have Hexenheim, which is exclusive to the Gavv summer movie. Okay. I also had to add in that the Amazing Gummy Gochizo, it's only used once, and it's even then barely relevant. So just that little bit tidbit. Then we have Hexenheim, which is born when Powrin, essentially the alternate world version of Shoma, ate a part of the candy house that he, Shoma, and Sachika made. Sachika, of course, coming in as the goat, and I'm just gonna say, it'd be cool if you were the rider. You're saying? And it gives you Hexenheim Gavv, which is, fun fact, one of the only times that we see Gavv actually do a rider kick, and it's in the summer movie. Just gonna let you sit with that. Next, we have the Terror Gochizo. Yes, I know, aptly named. Which, depending on the breed Gavv, which is born basically from when a breed Gavv, basically the Gavv of the mass, basically the weird things that Carrie ended up having a full organ farm for. They're born whenever I think something with a breed Gavv experiences a low amount of fear, similar to how the Amazing Gummy Gochizo is born from immense amounts of willpower / fighting spirit. Here. Now, with the regular breed Gavv, this would just result in, of course, Carrie's C1. And Carrie C1, it is very, very powerful. Powerful, being capable of basically completely decimating Gavv up until he had over Gavv or Master Gavv. But and spoilers for the movie, ripping off Talron's Gavv / breed Gavv and attaching it to himself, the Terror Gochizo allowed him to reach Carrie's C3. And this form, I'm just going to say, is terrifying because it went from, oh yeah, a decently matched fight with Over and Master Gavv versus Carry C1 to a complete slaughter for Carry. And it took, of course, Fioma getting Hexenheim to even beat this. In simple terms, uh, that was all the Gochizos explained except for the ones that didn't really do much, like the dummy Gochizos. Like, those ones don't really have like a full transformation, so I'm not really gonna like have an extra segment for them. So overall, Gochizos are pretty cool, but that's it. Adios.